I feel like Oprah. They put a mic on me and there's couches. You get a Twitter and you get a Twitter and everybody gets a Twitter. Okay. Where's Tom Cruise? Yeah, so I haven't done this since grade 6, so bear with me a little bit. But today's actually my anniversary. Probably not one I will get flowers for. It was actually 3 years ago today I found out I was homeless. It was 3 years ago Tuesday I gave birth to my daughter. So it was kind of an emotional week. I had a kid, I had no house. It started off that I had a house and I had no kid, and it kind of worked its way backwards. I found out I was pregnant really late in my pregnancy. And I knew I wasn't ready. I was an unemployed karaoke host, and I was like, yeah, no, this isn't me. I can't do this. I don't want kids. And I set up an adoption. And everything was fine. I signed the papers, I met the people, I picked out a family, it was fantastic. And then I had a baby. And they said, here's your baby. And I said, no. Don't hand me that baby. That's not my baby. And they said, well, just hold her. I said, okay. And I probably held her somewhat like a football. Any bachelors that have ever held babies, that was me. And then I fell in love. And I realized that there was no way I could hand this little girl over to somebody else and say, she's yours now. Problem being, I lived in a townhouse with 4 other people. Our hobbies included drinking and smoking and barbecuing hot dogs. Like, this was not a life for a child. And my roommate said, you can't bring a baby back here. What are you talking about? And I said, yeah, you're right. There's no way. So through social workers, CAS, I was put on a list to go into a shelter for young women with either babies or that were pregnant. I was actually over the age limit. A lot of the girls that were there were teenagers. The youngest girl that I met there was 15. And these girls changed my life. These girls at 15, 16, 17, 18 were so pulled together. They may have been living in a shelter, but they were like, this is it. I have a kid. I got to do what I got to do, and that's it. And I walked in and I went, I guess it's my turn to do what I got to do. So I lived in a shelter. I pawned everything I owned. I had no money. I had maybe $200 in the bank. Like I said, I was unemployed. I was calling my mom, hey, I need 20 bucks for food. And I called my mom from the hospital and said, you have a granddaughter. You know, she's used to a call that says, I need 20 bucks for food. And she gets a call that says, you have a granddaughter. She didn't know I was pregnant. So I really had nothing. I pawned everything. I pawned electronics. I pawned jewelry. I sold my furniture. I sold my clothes. I sold everything I could sell. And I proceeded to go to Walmart and buy diapers like they were going out of style. I had never bought diapers before. I had no idea what I was doing. There was a lovely woman in Walmart who was like, how old's your baby? And I was like, I just had her. And they were like, well, where is she? And I said, well, unfortunately, CAS had to step in because I didn't have a home. So I took all these diapers back to the shelter, and I had to go through a process of proving to CAS that I was capable of being a mom. Because, you know, I went from out of the blue, no kids, to having this little baby. It took me 10 days. Most people, it takes 3 months. It took me 10 days. In 10 days, I pawned and begged my way to having enough supplies to convince them that I was capable of caring for a child. And I just had moved. I was in Ottawa. I knew nobody. Okay, I knew 3 people, one of which, when I decided to keep the baby, decided to stop talking to me. And so I hit the internet. I was on Kijiji, I was on FreeCycle, all those ads that people see and they go, oh man, that person's begging for furniture. Like, come on. Who can't afford furniture? Yeah, that would be me. And that was where I got most of my stuff, was Kijiji and FreeCycle and the goodness of people. But when I had my best experience with the internet was actually when I moved. I came back to be closer to family, and I didn't know anybody. I knew one person, and I knew my mom. And as much as I love my mother, if I had to spend every day talking to her, I probably have an issue. So I sat at home and did nothing on the floor for a while. I didn't have a couch. And didn't know what to do with myself. So I was on Facebook. I was like, hey, guys back in Ottawa, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we're going to a play group. What are you doing? And I was like, I'm sitting on my ass, which Diva said was okay to say. And then somebody said, hey, you should get Twitter. And I was like, Twitter? Really? You guys have heard me talk. Do you really think I can condense myself down to 140 characters at a time? The answer is actually no. Usually my tweets span multiple posts. And I got on Twitter, and I met people in my community. I met the first person who I ever met. Her name was Karina, and Corky Corey on the Twitter, shout out. But she said to me, just go meet people. Like, this is 2008. It was 2009 at the time, actually. It's the internet. If you're going to a regular place, people have met these people. It's not the same. So I went out and I met people, and I just started tweeting all the time. That was all I did. I was at home. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was, still learning, and I tweeted. And I've met moms, and middle of the night, 3 a.m., I'm like, why is this child doing this? I've never seen a baby roll over before. Like, and people would come back to me and they'd be like, no, seriously? They start to roll. They get taller and they start to run, and I was like, oh man, she's gonna be a teenager, isn't she? And everything that I started to do on Twitter reflected my baby, my daughter. I was watching her grow. I was telling people that she was growing. And then I realized that my whole life didn't have to revolve around her. Because I never wanted kids and I didn't know anything about kids, I didn't know that when you became a mom, you didn't actually lose your woman card. You didn't have a mom card and a woman card. You had to hand in the woman card. You got to hold on to that. And so I actually started having this bigger presence on Twitter that most of you who know me, it contains a lot of words that Julia won't let me say. And it contains a lot of that's what she said jokes. And that's, that's what's come back to me. I've gotten this following of people who, at any moment, at any time, I can get online and I can say, I am totally terrified. My child is now 3 and screaming and just told me, I don't think so, mommy, or I'm not doing that, and I have no idea what to do with that. And I can also get online and go, oh, I hate being single, and it's the same thing. Or I can get online and say, I hate the fact that I don't have pillows. That I am that poor, that I can't afford to buy new pillows for my child. And somebody will show up at my door the next day with pillows. And they will hand them to me and they will say, everybody deserves pillows. And I realized that if being myself wasn't enough, the standard was too damn high. And that's what Twitter has given me. It's given me this sense of self. It's given me a community. It's given me the opportunity not to miss things, because people out there, if you let them, are generous and they're kind, and they will hold you when you cry, and they will make sure that you have pillows on your bed. And I don't even know how to, if you've never had pillows, you're totally with me. You're like, oh man, pillows, oh. And if you tweet with me, you know that like 3 a.m., I'm on Twitter. I'm making jokes on Twitter, and people are like, don't you sleep? I'm like, well, I have a bed, and I lay in it, but I need pillows to sleep. So Twitter has given me a good night's sleep, and social media has given me a place to fall if I fall again.